right, well, this weekend we'll see the Nedbank Cup quarterfinals taking place this evening. In fact, the TTM hosting Supersport United. And throughout the weekend, Marumo Gallants up against Baroka FC tomorrow. That's the early kickoff at 3 o'clock. Sundowns taking on Summerfield Dynamos. You remember Sundowns at some point also played Mataitai. So they seem to be having, I don't know, call it a knack for the ABC Motsepe League teams. That's at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And they're coached by Clinton Larson, Summerfield Dynamos. So they can be a potential banana skin for Mamelodi Sundowns. And then to wrap up the Nedbank Cup quarters, Royal AM taking on Amatax, University of Pretoria, at 3 o'clock on Sunday, the 10th of April. But the special thing about this weekend's action is the fact that for the first time in over 2 years, fans will be allowed in South African local football matches. And I am joined by a couple of them in studio. Mpho on the far side he says, if Mpho doesn't work, just call me champion. That's what he told me when he walked into studio. He's a Sundowns fan, as you can see already. And next to him is Thulani, a Kaizer Chiefs fan. Gentlemen, to both of you, thank you so much for joining us this morning. What a 2 years, Thulani. Let me start with you. How's it been?
Yeah, start with a big team. No, man, it's been lonely. It's been everything. You know, we use going there as some sort of therapy. Some of us, you know, after a long day, you want to be, I mean, in that positive vibe, positive energy, singing for your club. So it's been lonely. Singing in front of TV, you can't really sing. You can't really shout at the players. So I feel like the teams really need our support back. We've had the coach as well saying that, a couple of players. The coach of Sundowns also said that you know what, we need the fans back.
The level of frustration, though, Mpho, must have been at its peak. I know for Sundowns, you've had continental football, so CAF Champions League matches have had a few fans in them already, but the appetite for local football for you guys must have been massive, and particularly for Sundowns, because your team has been doing so well, and to not be able to be there for at least 2 championships that Sundowns has lifted, to not be able to witness that live, and your team having to raise the trophy in front of empty seats must have been painful.
It's been very painful. I mean, ironically, the last game that we watched in the PSL was the Nedbank Cup of Sundowns against Highlands Park at Makulung Stadium, where Magalo scored a winning goal, and now we're going back, and it's a Nedbank Cup again. At Sundowns, lifting trophies it's a norm, unlike other people. They haven't lifted in quite a number of years. So we're looking forward to it. As Sundowns fans, we looking forward to singing for our support, for giving the players our support, making sure that the players know that we are behind them. I mean, it's interesting that some team owners in the PSL have never seen their team with supporters. If you're looking at the likes of Royal AM, they've never had supporters. If you're looking at Sikukuni, they've never had supporters.
So for the first time, we're going to see what Royal AM fans look like.
Yes. Mama Joy.
Mama Joy, at least we know.
You know,
Soweto
people are leaving by the numbers just because there's a drought in Soweto. So, and if you look at the ownership of Amazulu, they've never seen the Amazulu fans. So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be fun. This weekend, those who take soccer seriously, like Sundowns, are in the Cup. So we're looking forward to going to Loftus. Others can wait another week. No, so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, of course, making reference to the Zungu family who have purchased Amazulu, it was only after the COVID regulations were in place. So they have not seen their club playing with fans, and that's an interesting fact as well. I understand you guys were part of the march a couple of weeks ago when just ahead of the Soweto derby at the Orlando Stadium. You were part of the fans who marched or who were picketing, let me put it like that, for the return of spectators. Do you feel that somehow that was a huge part of raising your voices?
I feel so. I might be taking a lot of credit for fans, but I think we've been saying a lot of things in social media in terms of wanting to get back to the stadium, but we decided to take action. So I believe that made some people take us a bit more serious, look at us a bit more serious than I mean, they used to say we're doing this, but now we wanted to see action. So going there, I think, did make some difference for us.
Mm. Do you think it should have taken this long to learn? What's your view on that?
Not. Absolutely not. I think looking at other countries, they've been watching football for quite some time. I think it took long, not supposed to have taken
too
so
long.
Too long. I suspect that there's lack of cooperation between maybe the government, the league, and the mother body, SAFA. I could be wrong, but I think it shouldn't have taken so long. There was another extension. I mean, when we were given a go-ahead that we still need to sit and plan on this. But come on, you said you were looking at it, you were pushing the government. Now the government gives you a go-ahead, but you still need to work on some other processes. So it talks to preparation for me. Yeah.
Mpho, you said you're going to the game at Loftus tomorrow against Summerfield. Have you bought your ticket yet?
No, we'll be buying later. It's going to be an interesting process.
I want to ask you about that. Do you know what you need to bring? What needs to happen? What's required by the authorities when you actually purchase? And also when you get to the stadium, what's going to be the protocol?
And I think that's going to be interesting because this is going to force a culture change in terms of how we do football. And with April 11th coming up, we remember the stampede that happened at Ellis Park. We as supporters need to take responsibility, understand the processes and procedure. You need to take your ID, you need to take your certificate or your negative test, and then be able to produce a ticket when you get to the stadium. That process is going to be longer than normal because normally you would just produce a ticket and be able to go there. So now it means as supporters, we can't be going to stadium in the last minute like we used to. You can't, when a game kicks off at 3 o'clock, arrive at 2:30. It means that the queues are going to be longer. And we would like for supporters, let's take responsibility as supporters and arrive there early and so that we can be able to do that. And also understand that the negative test, it can be older than 72 hours. So you can't have done a test on Monday for a game on the weekend. It needs to be by Friday or on the day so that you can be able to do that. And it's important. And I think maybe from a league perspective is about the communication so a lot of people can know. Because can you imagine some of the supporters coming from far and wide, only to get to the stadium if you don't have if you're not vaccinated and they tell you that your certificate is too old.
Yeah.
And you've traveled all that far, all that hunger, all that yearning for football that you haven't seen for 2 years and not be able to go inside. So that would be something that would be tragic if that were to happen. So we would like for the powers that be, the clubs, the league, to communicate with clarity on the documentation that you need in hand to be able to get into the stadium.
Important information there put forward by Mpho in terms of what you need to know going to the stadium, what you need to bring, and also making reference to the Ellis Park disaster on the 11th of April 2001. A long time ago, but it still resonates with a lot of us who are football fans in South Africa. And in trying to avoid that, of course, you're going to have to go earlier to stadiums because there's a lot to do before you can actually get into the stadiums at this particular juncture. Thulani, having not been able to go to stadiums, has it affected the way you feel about the game or sport in general? Because there is a school of thought that people are no longer as interested in football as they were before, and that is largely blamed on COVID. Do you feel a different way about your club and how they do? Are you even interested in results every time, every day, as you were 2 years ago?
Yeah, I'm even more interested now in the club. Yes, I get disappointed every week, but I'm still very interested. I'm still very interested because I feel like I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm shouting at the TV. I feel like if I was at the venue shouting at the player for making a negative pass, he was going to hear my voice and not do it again. I mean, we get a lot of attacks being killed by negative passes. We get a lot of defenders not switched on. But if I'm there as a fan shouting at them, I'm keeping them switched on in a way. So it's making me a frustrated person now. I want the team to win. I want to be there. So being away from the team, I think for the players as well, they need us because in us, there's sisters, there's brothers for the players. Imagine me playing knowing that my friend is there, travel all the way from maybe the Eastern Cape. I'm going to want to do well. So I think being away from the game, for me, it's been so frustrating. I feel like I have no control.
You know, one of the things that's concerning for me, I don't know if it's just me with this anxiety. South African football fans have been accused of not really loving football as they claim. You'd want football to come back or the gates to be opened again. Are you going to attend in the numbers that you claim you want to attend? Because we don't have bums on seats as much as we'd like in South Africa.
I think it's important for us, and I think there may be a bit of caution because some people would like to see how the process runs out. But there's a big game coming up where Kaizer Chiefs should be giving Sundowns a guard of honor when we come to Soccer City. So at that game, it will actually be one of those games where after Chiefs having given a guard of honor, they get to experience George Maluleke playing with Andy Lejali in the middle. Who doesn't want to go to the stadium and watch that? So for us as soccer fans, I mean, I know my kids were saying, Daddy, what is it going to take for us to go back?
Yeah.
Because now we've got to find out what is the rules about the kids. So we're looking forward to that. I mean, after summer, we're looking forward. Thulani must just coordinate that guard of honor to make sure that the champions get a guard of honor.
Okay.
Don't do it. Kaizer Chiefs, don't do it.
You are in trouble with my executive producer. In fact, says I should cut you off.
Thank you.
We are done here. We are out of time. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Supersport United up next for Kaizer Chiefs next week, though, in the league. And that's because they've been knocked out of the Nedbank Cup. And Sundowns against Summerfield United tomorrow. In the Nedbank Cup at Loftus Versfeld. Looking forward to seeing both these gentlemen in the stands tomorrow. That's our sport at this hour, and we'll go and watch football for the first time in the stadiums.